All right, guys. So this is going to be my video on the 2020 exam sample questions that the College Board put out for AP Macro. This is kind of hard to find. You're really going to have to go digging through it on the College Board's website. That's why I sent you that link yesterday in Remind. So pull it up. The first thing you see is you've got one that includes getting nominal GDP, real GDP. It's got using that inflation rate index and stuff like that. That's the one I'm going to do today. The next one they have is a comparative advantage. I did comparative advantage yesterday. If yesterday felt comfortable, you should feel comfortable doing this one. I suggest you do it. And then remember, when it comes to the comparative advantage questions, look out for that input question. This is another output. And then you're going to have this long essay. So you got 15 minutes plus 5 minutes to submit. And I'll get into this one tomorrow. So today I'm going to do... Excuse me. Let me talk about the format really quick. So you got the two short questions. Okay, so this would be question one. They're gonna have 25 minutes to do both short ones. Okay, this is question two, and then you've got 15 minutes to do the long essay. All right. Okay, so I worked out this one here. It says the outputs and prices of goods and services in country X are shown in the table above. Assuming that 2009 is the base year, calculate A and B. So they want you to calculate the nominal gross domestic product in 2010. If they give you a chart like this for nominal GDP, it's just going to be quantity times price in that year. So they want 2010, so I'm going to take the 2010 quantity times the 2010 price. Now notice down here it says this question is from a past AP exam in which showing work was not required. Remember that on this year's exam, students will be expected to show their work on any calculation questions. That is super important. So you guys got to make sure you're showing how you're getting these answers. You don't do that, you're not going to get the point. So A says the nominal GDP 2010. So I'm going to go 8 times 2.5 gives me 20. 10 times 10, 100. And then 5 times 5, 25. I have 125 written there. Sorry, that should be 25. That will add up to nominal GDP in 2010 to being 145. All right. Now, you got to get the real GDP in 2010. Well, there's two ways to get real GDP. When they give you an illustration or a table that looks like this, you're just going to take your 2010 quantity times the base year price. The other way to get it would be if they had the nominal GDP and then they gave you the deflator. It would be nominal over the deflator times 100. All right, but in this instance, they're giving you the table, so you have that base year price, and then you have the 2010 quantity. So you're going to take 2.5, that's that 2009 price, times 8, that's that 2010 quantity. That gives you 20. 6 times 10, 60, 4 times 5, 20. So real GDP 2010 is 100. All right. Now, in C, they're saying in 1 year, the price index or the deflator. Remember, the deflator is a price index. So whether it's CPI or the deflator, you can use it to get what the inflation rate is. The equation for inflation rate is the year you want. In this instance, it's 55 minus the base year, which is 50 over the base year. So inflation rate, year you want, minus base year over base year times 100. So 55 minus 50 over 50. That's going to be 5 over 50. You can simplify that down to 1 over 10. That gives you 0.1 times 100, 10%. Okay, so inflation was 10%. You cannot just simply write and see 10%. You've got to show your work. Okay, so you need to write it out like this. D says, assume the next year's wage rate will be 3%. So you got a 3% pay raise. But inflation, the actual inflation rate is 4%. Is your real wage higher, lower, or the same as today? In other words, saying real wage is, are you buying more, less, or the same as you were before? You're buying less. Even though you got a raise, your pay went up 3%, inflation ended up 4%, you can't buy as much stuff as you did before. They don't want an explanation on that, so you would just say real wage will be lower. E says, assume that Sarah gets a fixed rate loan from a bank when the expected inflation rate is 3%. If the actual inflation rate turns out to be 4%, who benefits from the unexpected inflation? Sarah, the bank, neither or both. Explain. Anytime inflation is higher than expected, the bank loses, the borrower wins. So Sarah benefits, the bank is getting money paid back to it that is less valuable than it was lent out. So Sarah got this money and she could buy more stuff when she got that money than the bank can when they get that money returned to them through this loan. Okay, so there you go. So again, this year's exam, 21st, you can have these 2 short questions, and then you're going to have this longer essay. I'll get into the longer essay tomorrow.